Meanwhile, state governments are lining up to renegotiate tariffs for renewable energy, but the Indian Banks Association is not happy with the idea. In a letter to the government, the association has warned that any such changes will open the door to corruption and that any cancellation of existing contracts will be a violation of the commitments made by state governments. CNBC TV18's Anshu Sharma and Arif Sherwani bring us this report.
Not long ago, solar power tariffs hit an all-time low of 2 rupees and 44 paise per unit, and tariffs for wind power dropped to 3 rupees and 46 paise per unit. This has state governments lining up to rework tariffs for older renewable energy projects. Uttar Pradesh kicked it off by seeking revision for a 215 megawatts project, which had tariffs of 7.02 to 8.60 rupees per unit. Then Jharkhand wanted to renegotiate tariffs for a 1,200 megawatt project that was bid out in 2015 in the range of 5.08 to 7.95 rupees per unit. And now Tamil Nadu is looking to renegotiate tariffs for some of its older solar power purchase agreements. This trend has the Indian Banks Association worried. In a letter to the government, the IBA has said, and I quote, if state governments backtrack on their PPA commitments, the related projects would become unviable and the underlying loans may not be serviced, rendering useful productive assets to be wasted. As most PPAs are approved or adopted by the regulators, revocation would result in a spate of court cases and bad debts. End quote. Players in the renewable energy space agree. They say such renegotiations negate the purpose behind competitive bidding for such projects and open the door to possible corruption.
The story what I read, if they are renegotiating a PPA, I believe that may not be the correct thing to do. Ideally, that should be retendered and let the new tender discover the price. You cannot tender one thing and then renegotiate or bilaterally. The recent Tata-Adani case in the Supreme Court on tariff renegotiation, the Supreme Court order is very clear that a PPA, a bilateral contract, is sacrosanct and it should not be renegotiated whether upside or downside. So therefore, any attempt by any of the state governments and DISCOMs to renegotiate old PPAs will not get a legal backing, which will only cause an harassment to the investors.
Experts warn that renegotiation of power contracts to more favorable tariffs will put India's global commitment to produce 1.75 lakh megawatts of clean energy by 2022 in jeopardy. It will also delay ongoing projects, create unease among the investor community over the consistency and transparency of India's energy sector policies, and further destabilize demand and supply. In New Delhi with Anshu Sharma, Arif Sherwani.